I'm here as I continue to heal and recover from burnout, to share my story, share everything that I've learned so that I can help other women live a more fulfilled, aligned, and calm life. Hi, I'm Kathleen, and welcome to a safe space. So grab a cozy blanket, maybe a drink, and let's get started. This is my first video on this channel, so thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm excited to get started and being a calm space for you. I'm going to use today to give you an overview of my story and some of the key lessons learned. These are just a handful of them. I have many more, but I really want to make sure we just cover some of the basics and who I am so that we can dive deeper in future videos and you know who I am from the start. A couple gentle notes before we get started. First, I'm not a therapist. I'm using my lived experience as well as my passion for empowering others to grow into themselves to help other women who are on the verge or have already burnt out. And second, this is meant to be a calm space, so you won't see much quick zooming in or 1-second clips like I see many content creators do these days, because I know what it feels like to be overstimulated and burnt out. So with those two things in mind, let's walk through to the first lesson, is that people pleasing will get you far until it doesn't. For most of my life, I've been a classic good girl. I was always doing what other people expected me to do. I got straight A's in school, got a partial scholarship to university, chose a very stable and safe career path in corporate, and got a great job even before I graduated school. And I stuck with that job because it felt honestly like the easy thing to do, the way to make money, the way to stay stable and not really surprise anybody or myself. I really fit into this neat little box of I'm a good girl and I do what I'm expected to do. But when I was in my about mid-20s, I really started to drink more. It was a way to mask and try to forget that I didn't have the energy to do everything I was doing. And that was really the start of me feeling like, okay, I think something is off. I think this life isn't working for me in the way that I thought it was. And when I was 27, I met my husband. And that's when things started to shift more in a positive way for me. It was a relationship that I valued and respected. So I really started to value and respect myself as well. I stopped drinking as much. I started to go to therapy a bit more as well because I was making more time for myself and I was starting to realize, like, okay, I think there are some things, some thoughts, beliefs that I've grown up with that aren't necessarily mine anymore. And through this time, I still stuck with my job in corporate. I had been there for almost 10 years at this point because it was really exactly what I needed. It provided that stability that was so important to me at that time, and I wasn't ready for any kind of big change or life awakening. So in my late 20s then, we got married and everything was great, and we were lucky enough to have a daughter 2.5 years ago. It was beautiful, and it also broke me. Because the thing about parenthood, or really taking care of anyone, is that if you continue to do what other people expect you to do and always put others first, you're going to burn out. You're going to lose steam. You're not going to feel like yourself because you're getting lost in everyone else's expectations and beliefs, and you're losing focus of who you really are. I really didn't know how to listen to me. But it was also beautiful because it was the start of my unraveling, the start of me really figuring out who I truly am versus all of those conditioned beliefs that I had been living by for years. So, this brings me to the second lesson. What worked for you in your 20s might not work for you in your 30s. During my mat leave, I had this sense that I was burning out, I was exhausted, feeling disconnected, but I still went back to my corporate job. And I had a sense that I had to set some boundaries. I couldn't work the exact same way that I had in the past, but I didn't make as many adjustments as I truly needed. I had started to learn things about myself, like the fact that I'm a highly sensitive person who doesn't thrive in brightly lit rooms and loud spaces, but I didn't embrace or even accept the fact that I needed to do things substantially different. And during this time, late last year, my dad was also diagnosed with dementia, and it was a bit of a wake up call for me because I lived so much of my life based on his expectations and beliefs, and him being only in his early 70s was really just this sudden, like, oh my gosh, I have to change things. I want to make sure that I'm here for my daughter. And so really I went from this energetic 20-something-year-old to a 30-something mom who was struggling to keep up and struggling to just do the basic things. And so I made the tough decision to take a leave from work. I made the decision when it really didn't feel like a decision anymore. My body was starting to shut down. I was sick all the time. I had trouble sleeping. I was irritable. My mind would just go blank at the simplest tasks. And I was feeling nauseous all the time as well. So my husband and I made the decision of like, something has to stop. And work was the only thing that I could stop. So when I took that leave from work, I immediately thought I would feel better. I thought that rest would come naturally, but it didn't. And so this brings me to lesson 3. The world is designed to keep us busy, but clarity comes from calm, not chaos. We live in a really fast-paced world that doesn't allow us to truly sit still and rest, even when we're recovering. Even when we're trying to heal, there's this expectation to do all the right things and feel better as quickly as possible. But that is not what most of us really need when we're trying to heal and recover. It was only after a friend gently nudged me to stop, to really stop and embrace slowness in a way that I had never done before, that I started being able to listen to myself and listen to what I really need. It's like building a muscle. Even a few minutes of slowness and tuning into yourself a day can start making a difference. But it's not easy. As I said, people expect you to be doing, going, checking things off the to-do list and get better as soon as possible. Like, I was facing some pressure from the insurance provider and my doctor to get better faster. But the reality is, healing takes time, and we need to give ourselves that time. And not everybody can quit or leave their job, and that's okay. There are still so many things that we can do to incorporate that slowness and stillness we need to heal. And so that brings me to lesson 4. There isn't a pill that's going to fix you. It takes self-reflection and care. when I was no longer worried about fitting into that safe box of being a good girl and meeting everybody's expectations, that's when I truly started to feel creative for maybe the first time ever in my life. And it was only in that stillness, slowness, and with the support of therapy and a lot of uncomfortable honesty that I was able to peel back those layers and figure out what I truly need and even what it is I actually really want to do in this chapter of my life. And that clarity came from the healing, it came from the stillness, it came from just truly tuning into myself and what I need. And so I decided to leave my 12-year career in corporate because I knew that it was no longer the fit for me. It was no longer going to sustain myself, my health, my life. I want to be here for my daughter, my husband, myself. And so 9 to 5 corporate environment, back-to-back meetings, I know is not good for me anymore. And that was tough to accept, but at the same time, I felt so confident in because I know what it feels like to make aligned decisions now. I know what it feels like to put my needs first. So if any of this feels at all familiar to you, first know that you're not alone. And second, I have a lot more content coming to support you and create a calm space. And if you're eager to see some resources right now, I do have some available. I'll link them below. But otherwise, thank you again for being here with me today. You deserve to rest and be still. And I will see you soon.